Namaskar. Who is in control in Syria? Even as we speak, in the last 48 hours, Israel has conducted 300 strikes over Syria. Wait, Israel already attacking Syria? What's going on? So a lot of confusion, even as the dust is settling about who controls what. Lots of regions in Syria. Not everything is under the control of the same group. How many groups are there? 4, 5? How many? All these things and more in this really in-depth video. Please like this video, and if you have not already subscribed to our channel, do subscribe to our channel. So I'm going to start the slide deck now, and we have also got 2 videos to show you what is going on in terms of actual situation from the ground. Okay, so the rebels have toppled Assad. What does that mean? So how many groups are there? We'll start with the first one. Next one, please. We know that the Ba'athist party has been unseated after 13 years of rule by Bashar Assad, and I don't know how many years his father ruled. So it is like a long time. The Ba'ath party has been in trouble, has been in control of Syria. All that is over now. He has fled to Russia along with his family. In fact, one of his brothers has been taken out yesterday. That is the news coming out of Syria. Now, what does this mean? The fall of Assad's government. Is it a turning point? Because we also saw that Russia did almost nothing. And in fact, they have been quietly withdrawing from there. Is there a deal between Trump and Putin? That's the thing that's on everybody's lips, that Russia would leave Syria alone for the US to have, and that Russia would get a sweet deal in Ukraine. This is something that is doing the round. We'll wait and see how that plays out, but I'm giving you some advance information. Post his ouster, we know that he is set up in Moscow. Maybe he'll get a dachau and live his remaining years peacefully with his children also with him, with children and family with him. Unless, of course, somebody gets very bold, and you know what happens after that. Next one. So the rebels of Syria. How many rebels are there? There are various rebel groups with distinct ideologies and leadership. In fact, you saw one of these people saying that we will liberate Jerusalem. So new group, old rhetoric. So that hasn't changed. So that perhaps got Israel's shackles up, and he said, okay, we'll make first sure that you guys are crippled so much militarily that you can't really do a whole lot. So that's one thing. But you will see from the speech that you are going to hear from Bibi Netanyahu from the Golan Heights what he intends to do also. So that's a speech that's coming up in just a few minutes. So what is there? There is a complex of Islamist, nationalistic, Kurdish, Turkish-backed factions, and these are all controlling various regions. Now, I'm going to show you some of the major groups. There could be subgroups here also. So just be ready to get more, but be aware that there are many groups. 5 is a good number. The Syrian interim government serves as a political wing, while the Syrian National Army functions as its military arm, heavily armed, funded, and directed by the Turkish armed forces. You know, under Bashar, it was called SAA. That was the army that Bashar had under him. We don't know where they are, whether they have surrendered or whether they have just kind of absorbed, dissolved into thin air. I have no idea. So that is not something that we are going to be covering here today. Next. The SNA represents Turkey's military and political interests in Russia. They control the northern Idlib near the Turkish border and parts of Rojava. Acts as Turkey's military presence within Syria, and there is a high potential for conflict with the Kurdish-led SDF due to President Erdogan's hostility towards the Kurds and the Kurdish autonomy in Syria. Wait a minute. Kurdish are the people that are being supported by, you know who? Well, you'll know that in just a few moments. SSG, the Syrian Salvation Government, already they are salvationing. They are applying salve while promising that they will take Jerusalem, is the political front. The SSG is the political front of the HTS, whose leader, Abu Muhammad al-Julani, has actually got a crown somewhere. You can see pictures of him in social media with him wearing a crown. Does this mean that he is the new caliph? We don't know. I'm saying this in jest because, I mean, every birthday, every kid wears a crown. Doesn't make them him or her the king or prince, right? So we have to wait and see how this thing goes. Apparently, he's very charismatic. Next one. Where is the influence of HTS? They control most of Idlib and parts of Aleppo and key cities like Homs, Hama, Latakia, and Tartus. HTS also dominates critical coastal regions, including major ports. HTS is considered one of the most capable and well-organized fighting forces in Syria, responsible for significant gains against the Assad regime. It represents the Islamist element within Syria, aiming to establish an Islamic state based on its ideological vision. Based on who you talk to, this guy has been part of Al-Qaeda also, and also ISIS. So he is as radical as it gets, guys. Now, who is SFA? The Syrian Free Army, supported by the United States, primarily operates from the Al-Tanf military base near the Syrian-Jordanian border, seized western parts of the Syrian desert, including Palmyra, and advanced towards Damascus. So this is the third one, SFA. Next. The SFA is heavily reliant on US military aid and airstrikes, with its future uncertain under the new Trump administration. Will they support them still, or will they say, no, you are on your own? So it generally operates as a secular Sunni force, and it has no formal religious or Islamist agenda. So you can think of them as a secular force. Their reliance on foreign aid makes them vulnerable to shifting international policies. Despite this, they remain relevant in certain areas. So this is the third group. The fourth one, Rojava and SDF. They're both called, they're both interchangeably called. So 𝗣𝗚𝗍𝗍 𝗣𝗚𝗂𝘁 𝗍𝙑 Sree. So that is the Syrian name. The Autonomous Administration of North and East Syria, also known as Rojava, and its armed wing, the Syrian Democratic Forces, represent Kurdish interests in Syria. This is the one that would be the most interesting one according to me, because they are actually sitting on some of the more richer oil fields in Syria. Established with a semi-autonomous Kurdish region with democratic institutions and local councils. This SDF and HTS, you can expect them to have a clash sometime soon. It comprises of Kurdish fighters, mainly from the People's Defense Units, Arab and Assyrian militias. They are proven to be the most effective and reliable force against ISIS. They are known for being well-trained, disciplined, and highly motivated. They are looking for Kurdistan. Controls the eastern Syrian desert, including Deir ez-Zor, the Iraqi border, and the entire northeastern Kurdish inhabited region of Syria, and it enjoys US air and logistical support. No guesses for why US is supporting the Kurds. Like I told you, the oil assets. Next one, please. They are seen as the most likely group to cooperate positively with the Western and Israeli interests. They are a critical player in stabilizing the eastern Syria and countering ISIS and other extremist factions. They have, again, groups within them, KPPU, Women's Protection Units, and allied Arab and Assyrian militias. I don't know if you remember that a few months ago, Sweden was trying to apply for NATO, and any NATO member can veto that, anyone. And it so happened that Turkey was vetoing them. The reason? Because Sweden was sheltering some of these groups. They said, you have to give them up. You cannot support them anymore. I don't remember how that thing ended. And Sweden, and I think it was also Finland, whether they have become NATO members or not. Our editor will check that to see if they are now a NATO member. But the sticking point was that the Turkish government wanted Sweden to give up supporting these people. Can you believe it? How much power Turkey has in NATO? So a lot of stuff within wheels, and whether Sweden has made it into NATO or not, I don't remember. However, there's also a bigger talk that Trump is just going to walk away from NATO and say, you guys fend for yourselves. Oh, by the way, we have arms to sell. That is a very effective strategy to sell even more arms. Who knows what's going to happen? There is there is still some uncertainty around the concept of NATO also. So stay tuned on that one too. Now, okay, so 7th March 2024, Sweden became a full member of NATO, which means something was worked out between Turkey and Sweden. Now, every time Russia advances a few miles into Ukraine, one other Western European country wants to join NATO. So this is going to be another conflict: the Kurds versus the Turkish forces, which means the groups that are completely aided by Turkey. I don't know what HTS is going to do, but certainly all of them would aim at Kurdish area groups like the SDF, because that's where the mullah is. Very, very straightforward. Next one. So there is one more, the last one. Southern Operations Room, SOR, is a recently formed alliance of Sunni and Druze groups in southern Syria. This controls Dara, Quneitra, the land border between Israel and the southern part of Damascus. Whatever it is, important wise, they will be controlling that. That's the fifth one. Next. The SOR includes diverse minority groups such as the Druze, reflecting a multi-ethnic composition, maintained relatively positive relations with Israel through the IDF's Good Neighbor operation between 2016 and 2018, offering humanitarian aid and security coordination. Likely to be Israel's primary point of interaction due to its geographic proximity and historical cooperation. It acts as a buffer between Syria and Israel, influencing regional stability and border security. At this point, let's pause this. Let's pause this slide deck, and then let's listen to what Netanyahu had to say, because he's speaking from Golan Heights.
The Middle East. The collapse of the Assad regime, the tyranny in Damascus, offers great opportunity, but also is fraught with significant dangers. This collapse is a direct result of our forceful action against Hezbollah and Iran, Assad's main supporters. It set off a chain reaction of all those who want to free themselves from this tyranny and its oppression. But it also means we have to take action against possible threats. One of them is the collapse of the Separation of Forces Agreement from 1974 between Israel and Syria. This agreement held for 50 years. Last night it collapsed. The Syrian army abandoned its positions. We gave the Israeli army the order to take over these positions to ensure that no hostile force embeds itself right next to the border of Israel. This is a temporary defensive position until a suitable arrangement is found. Equally, we send a hand of peace to all those beyond our border in Syria, to the Druze, to the Kurds, to the Christians, and to the Muslims who want to live in peace with Israel. We're going to follow events very carefully. If we can establish neighborly relations and a peaceful relations with the new forces emerging in Syria, that's our desire. But if we do not, we'll do whatever it takes to defend the state of Israel and the border of Israel.
So at this point of time, I still have two more things to cover. One is, remember I told you there have been 300 strikes from Israel into Syria. What is the impact of that? And second, what is the impact of what is happening in Syria on various projects that India has going there? That is another video that I'll play. But first, I hope all of you have liked this video. I'm going to take a quick check to see how many of you actually did. Just 1 second. So I'm looking at 360 are watching right now, and I have only 100 likes. Come on, guys, do me a favor, please like this video. This deserves to go a long way, because this sort of establishes the reference for what is going to play out in Syria. This is nowhere near the end. This is just the beginning of another conflict, and this is where things are going to be raging. These 5 groups are going to be fighting amongst each other and with each other and against others. So there is going to be more bloodbath here. That's all I can say. It will become messy. What Turkey wants to do and all this stuff is going to be key. So 2 more things coming. Israel Defense Forces, what have they done? And what is the impact of this particular situation in the projects that India is doing in Syria. Okay, so the next one, please. So what is Israel up to? We told you that there were more than 300 strikes. In 48 hours, the Israeli Defense Forces struck most of the strategic weapons stockpiles in Syria to prevent them from falling into the hands of the terrorist element. And here is the breakdown one by one: Navy, armed forces, air forces, and so on. Naval operations: Israeli Navy missile ships struck 2 Syrian Navy facilities simultaneously, the 𝗣𝗚𝗿 port and the Latakia port, where 15 Syrian naval vessels were docked. By the way, all these things are provided by way of reference links in the description section. Do go through them, because a lot of them have actually graphic videos of the destruction. If I play that, YouTube will take down the video, which is why we are just giving you the link. But those of you who are interested in getting more details can certainly go and look at that. Naval targets: dozens of sea-to-sea missiles with ranges of 80 to 190 kilometers were destroyed, each missile carrying significant explosive payloads, posing threats to civilian and military maritime vessels in the area. No, sorry, go back. Yeah. In Air Force operations, manned aircraft flew hundreds of hours over Syrian airspace, conducting 350 plus aerial strikes. So now the 300 number has gone up to 350. The targets struck: what were the targets struck? A wide range of targets, including anti-aircraft batteries. This is probably like the S-300, S-400. Syrian Air Force airfields, and dozens of weapons production sites in Damascus, Homs, Tartus, Latakia, and Palmyra. What were the assets neutralized? Numerous strategic assets, including Scud missiles, cruise missiles, surface-to-sea, surface-to-air, and surface-to-surface missiles, UAVs, and UAVs are basically drones, fighter jets, attack helicopters, radars, tanks, hangars, and more. And next one, please. In ground operations, the IDF conducted airstrikes on 130 assets in Syria, including weapon depots, military structures, launchers, and firing positions. This footage is from the perspective of the munitions that were sent to strike these targets. I picked up the text from one of the tweets. That tweet itself is given in the reference link, and that gives you, I think, what, 3 minutes or so video of all these things. It's from IDF, Israel Defense Forces, very reliable. So you don't have to worry about the reliability of the information that's being shared in that particular tweet. So that's where things stand. And now I'm going to show you the impact of this new political development in Syria on India's interests. Can we load the next video, please?
The Petrotech India Conference marked a historic agreement between India and Syria. Indian Petroleum Minister Murli Deora and Syrian Minister Soufiane al-Alau collaborated to strengthen energy ties. This paved the way for 𝗏𝗏𝐶 𝗣𝗚𝗍 to explore oil and natural gas in Syria. In 2006, Indian investments in Syria amounted to 84 million, making India the third largest investor. India enjoyed a favorable trade balance, which could shift with new oil and gas contracts. 𝗤𝗚𝗄 Limited completed a $48 million project to build electricity transmission towers for the Jordan-Syria sector. 𝗼𝗚𝗄 supplied earth-moving equipment worth $6 million to Syria. Ircon established electric substations through a $9 million contract. ABB, India secured a $51.5 million contract to supply 9 power substations. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 𝗣𝗚𝗄 was awarded the exploration rights to Block 24, rich in oil potential. Indian electrical manufacturers secured $40 million worth of contracts in Syria. These projects highlight India's technical expertise and strong partnership with Syria. Indian companies played a crucial role in Syria's infrastructure and energy sectors. Through mutual collaboration, India and Syria strengthened their economic and strategic bonds. India's investments in Syria reflect a shared vision for growth, energy cooperation, and a promising future.
So this is the situation on the ground right now. As to how many of these things will be impacted, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see, wait for the dust to settle. But I am reasonably confident that much of this stuff is going to be sorted out. After all, these are projects that make Syria get to the next level. And usually Israel is very good about not touching some of these development projects like electricity or gas and oil exploration and so on and so forth. I'm going to stop here and take some questions. Sanjay, thank you so much for your super sticker. Srinivasan Shamrao, Namaskaram. The Syrian rebels had warned that they will liberate Jerusalem. How Israel is expected to react to this? Wipe out Syria now that Iran and Russians have withdrawn. Srinivasanji, they have actually created a buffer zone. Remember that one of the groups, I think it is the one, I think it's SOR. These things will start rolling off of our tongues easier with days to come. They are actually like a buffer between the real Syria and Israel. Like, for example, beyond Golan Heights, the Israelis have gone and established a buffer zone, I think 20 kilometers or 40 kilometers. Typically, that's what they do, so that before the new groups start getting ideas, they know that they have some buffer room to work with. Next one, please. Maithili Aryan wants to know, Sriji, too many groups controlling the country may again leave the people in turmoil. Your views, sir? Well, it could split up into 2 or 3 countries. A Sunni area, a Shia area, one for the Kurds, and maybe one for the Christians. There's a significant Christian population in Syria. So yeah, that is possible, but all that would require United States to invest itself in a big way, and would require perhaps UN support, and maybe a country like India. That would really help, because I know for a fact China and Russia will not support that. But if the United States, if the world wants to, save the lives of Christians there, see, this is going to be same thing like what has happened in Bangladesh. The Christians will be slaughtered. Come on now, we cannot let that happen. We'll see how Trump deals with it. Next one, please. Ramchandran wants to know, Sriji, Namaskar, will new American president allow both Turkey and Israel to occupy more of Syrian land? See, Israel is not interested in occupying land. It's never their intention. They just don't want these people to come and trouble them. That's all. Israel is doing just fine, thank you. So we have to wait and see how this plays out. But it's also possible Israel might wait for all these, factions to, conduct wars and see which one is last group standing and then take out them. So we'll see. Manoj Soma wants to know how Trump is going to fix the Middle East, sir. Other thing is Trump vowed to bring medical mafia, and other things is how it helps India, because pharma capital of world is our country. Your views? My guess is that Trump might usher in an era of tariffs. Right now, the tariff is like 2% or 2.25% on anything that comes into the United States. So negligible. But if a country is being penalized, then the tariff becomes a significant number. And we talked about this in some detail with Sumit Pirji, I think 2 days ago, about tariffs and the effect that will have on various countries. Now, it's possible that if one country is levied a much higher tariff, that country will try to route their products through other countries so that they can escape that high tariff percentage rate. So this is a tricky phase to play. But if United States needs to find a new source of revenue, tariffs come in very handy. It's possible that they could do across the board 25%, but with special extra tariffs on China. China continues to be the huge problem. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Is that it? Okay, so the questions are done. Viewers, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.